Is romance dead in the modern world? Why am I asking? Well,
Yes.
the other day I was talking with my mom over lunch and I asked her about how she and my dad met. Let me tell you, the story's straight out of a K-drama low-key. When I heard the story, it made me wonder where the romance has gone in the modern world.
Yeah, I am a menace. Keep me around.
What's good, YouTube? Back here with another video. Before we get into the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Also follow me on Instagram, follow me on my Twitch, and if you want to see gaming reactions,
I got one of them goddamn legs over here. Here you go.
you can follow me on my main channel. And let's get into it.
It seems like the most common occurrence in this day and age is
Was that nigga just crying out his nose? Hold up. Was he just crying out his nose? Hold up. Oh, I just gotta see that. He was crying out his nose.
It seems like the most common occurrence in this day and age is hookups, toxic relationships, cheating, and overall just guys and girls going straight for each other's jugulars because they see the other party as the most heinous and vile human beings whose sole purpose is to ruin lives. And there's a truth to what's being said because, I mean, just look at the state of dating relationships today. You could probably even ask your parents for advice on how to get a partner, and when they give you their advice, you'll probably think that that wouldn't work today or that people would be weirded out if you tried it. And it makes me wonder how it came to this point. What was originally seen as a romantic gesture that would move hearts has now become cringe or doing too much. Like y'all, you probably wouldn't be alive today had your dad not pulled out that move on your mom.
Hell no, your dad be single as hell, my boy. You wouldn't exist at this point. Shit, if he tried that shit he doing right there nowadays, Nick, whoever you are that made this video, you would not exist.
And I get it, times change and culture shifts. But I've gotta wonder, are we moving forwards or backwards? Let's talk about it. The type of information you consume on a regular basis heavily influences your perspective on this topic, which makes sense because your cognitive library of information and experiences shapes your worldview. Let's say you lived a simple life as a farmer in a small but closely knit community where everyone knew and looked out for each other. You spend your free time taking long walks, enjoying nature, and volunteering in community events. Your day-to-day experiences mainly consist of hard but fulfilling work, tranquility, and joy. With this type of lifestyle, you probably have a more positive and optimistic outlook on life.
You know, that's kind of one thing that I do that's different from like my childhood. Like my childhood, like granted we had technology, but like it wasn't like as prevalent as it was today. So we was still outside, like we was still outside playing basketball, football, tag. We was doing anything, everything. The boys was outside, the girls was outside, everybody was outside. Now you don't even see kids outside. You don't see nobody playing at basketball courts, none of that.
Life. Now, on the other hand, let's say well, this isn't really theoretical anymore, but let's take your and most people's lives as an example. You're probably working a stressful job that you might not particularly enjoy, but endure anyway because it gets the bills paid. Because it's so stressful and draining, you go to the internet to mentally escape and recharge. And it's on the internet where you get absolutely overloaded with all kinds of information. News, celebrity drama, content creators being exposed for and people saying the most insulting and hateful things because it's the internet. Everyone's anonymous and therefore aren't held accountable for their actions. When this is the type of information you're constantly exposed to, would it be any surprise if you think the world is on fire and that there's no hope for humanity? The same logic can be applied to your perspective on dating. The type of relationship content that is most likely to be fed to your algorithm are the ones that are negative and hostile towards the opposite sex. And this makes sense because it's engaging and gets a reaction out of you, whether it be because you share the same experience or because it's rage bait. My ex cheated on me this, my partner is toxic and manipulative that. Men ain't shit. Women get the ick when a guy breathes. I have to train my boyfriend because he doesn't know how to treat a woman right. Women like to cause problems and make things difficult for the sake of it. It just keeps going on and on and on like an ultimate ping pong match. And again, there's a truth to these things. But when you're constantly consuming this type of information, you end up getting stuck in an echo chamber where all you hear is that men are trash, women are problematic, and because others are reaffirming what everyone else is saying, you assume that it must be the norm, not the exception. And maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, everyone's saying it's true. Everyone has shared similar personal experiences before. Doesn't that mean that it is the norm? Not necessarily. Remember, the type of content that is most likely to be fed to the algorithm and go viral are the ones that are the most emotionally
I was having a conversation with my coworker a couple weeks ago about that. Like, I don't think people realize how easy it is to remember negative experiences or to be controlled by negative emotions. It's so easy to like remember something that somebody did to you wrong. But you're not gonna remember so easily the 100 things that they did right for you, or the good times. You might remember them, but you won't remember them as easy and vividly as the negative experiences you have with somebody.
Charging and engaging, and negative emotions are far more potent and impressionable than positive emotions. You hear it all the time. People online may get thousands of positive comments and compliments, but as soon as they read one negative comment, it lives in their head rent-free for a longer period of time than the positive ones. And it's because negativity is far more potent. That's why the news consists mainly of fear-mongering and negative events, and why everyone is drawn to drama. We engage with negativity far more than we do with positivity, and that's why it's constantly being fed to us. Furthermore, people are more likely to share negativity than positivity. If you've been wronged, you're more inclined to voice out your grievance and seek retribution, right? You have something to prove, and when you're validated for it, it feels amazing. Especially more so when you've had a history of bad relationships and therefore hardly ever experienced validation and reassurance. But on the other hand, if your life is just swell and everything is going well for you, maybe you'd want to share your experience at times, but more often than not, you're keeping it to yourself because you're just vibing and enjoying the moment. When you're happy and genuinely enjoying the moment, you aren't going, hold on, I'm going to put this on my Instagram or TikTok to show how happy I am.
Facts, bro. You're not doing all that, bro. You trying your best to maintain it and protect that happiness. You ain't worried about whatever. Because if me not being on, let's just say me not being on social media has been the happiest time of my life. I'm not gonna then go to social media and be like, oh, I had the happiest time of my life not being on here. No, you're just not gonna be on there.
You'd be breaking yourself out of the immersion, and at that point, you aren't thinking about how happy you are. Instead, you're thinking about wanting other people to see that you appear happy. There's a subtle difference. Put more succinctly, there's more to life than what goes on in our screens. The ones that are in happy, healthy relationships aren't living their lives on the internet, which is why we rarely ever see any positivity about relationships online. And for the scarce few that do exist online, we most likely won't run into it because it's not as emotionally engaging or relatable, and therefore won't be fed to the algorithm. But overall, something to keep in mind is that happy and healthy relationships don't exist online. They exist in the real world. This isn't to say that the things people complain about online are invalid. Far from it, actually. The reality is that there are so many people out there who have no business getting into relationships. Many of us today have a lot of baggage and issues about ourselves that we need to sort out, but instead of doing the internal work to fill that void within ourselves, we seek other people to fill that void for us. And surprise, surprise, it doesn't work. We're not filling that void.
Alright, I got a solution to this problem, right? So I do believe social media is killing romance. You just need the EMP shit, bro. I'm just saying. Just EMP it, bro. All technology gonna stop working. It's gonna force motherfuckers to go outside. That's all I'm saying. Or they start limiting like time that you could be on your phone. But like it's just you have a certain amount of hours a day that you can be on your phone. Or on the internet or something like that. And boom. And make people go outside.
We're just hiding it so that we no longer are aware that it exists.
You gotta
and
talk to
this results in us projecting our insecurities and problems onto our partners, leading us to make stupid choices and deeply hurting them in the process. Or on the other hand, it leaves us susceptible to ignoring red flags and falling or settling for people that don't give us the love and respect we deserve. Either way, we end up a statistic in the cycle of trauma and toxicity. We're human, so of course we have our flaws and ignorant moments. The bitter reality is that sometimes we may need to go through these experiences to grow and learn from them. It only becomes an issue when we don't hold ourselves accountable for our actions and instead wallow in our own misery. If we want things to change, we simply have to do better. And on one hand, it's great that social media is providing people with a platform to raise awareness and call people out on their bullshit.
I think the other thing though with social media too, which I don't know whether or not he is gonna talk about in the video, but like it just allows too much access to too many different people essentially, because now I got access. If I want to pick my phone up, boom, talk to somebody all the way from, I'm on the East Coast, talk to somebody all the way from the West Coast. I got access to that person now compared to like back in the day. If they wasn't in your county, in your city, you did not know they exist.
shit, because the only way to address a problem is if we're even aware of it in the first place. But I don't think people are getting that message. Instead, they take on a victim mentality and allocate all their efforts into antagonizing others as opposed to working on themselves. That is what's dangerous about the negative relationship content online. People aren't mature enough to mentally process the information in a productive and healthy manner. And because of this, that type of content polarizes people's opinions on the opposite sex and heavily influences the way they approach relationships. Imagine an impressionable and naive teenager who knows absolutely nothing about relationships. All they see online is people saying, "Men ain't shit. Be your own boss bitch and have these men bow down to you like the queen you are." Or, "Women are objects to be controlled and dominated. Be an alpha male and treat women as less than you because that's the only way you'll get their attention." When this is the type of content being imprinted into their minds, do you think they'll be in the right headspace to have a healthy relationship?
Nah.
No. If anything, they're more likely to feed into the cycle of toxicity. People don't know how to act or think for themselves anymore. And if people aren't getting
Facts, yo. Facts, bro. That I am so glad he said that shit, because I've noticed that. I probably noticed that the last 5+ years. At least it's been going on even longer, but specifically these last 5 years. Cause bro, ever since COVID, bro, like I don't know what it is, but nobody has their own opinion. Nobody has critical thinking no more. Nobody has none of that. Nobody wants to sit here and can compartmentalize information. Like the biggest thing I've noticed is people be like, "Oh, you need to pick a side," because they may agree with this person, and they agree with everything this person says, but there might be somebody else who they don't agree with, and they're not even gonna sit there and give them the time of day to hear them out, because they're like, "Oh, you're in opposition, so I'm not. No, you're the ops. I'm not gonna listen to what you gotta say, obey what you gotta say." Even though they could be saying something that's very beneficial to you, but you don't want to listen to them because you feel like they're against you. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says. You can take parts of stuff from people that you don't even like and implement it and listen to it, because not all information is bad information, and no matter who it's coming from. But people sit here like to choose sides and like, "Oh well, if you're not with this crowd, then you on this with this crowd, and I can't do that. I can't hear you out." I think that's a lost art. You know what I'm saying, for nowadays, because most people don't have a mind for themselves, say the same shit that everybody else is saying, don't even know why they saying it. They're saying it just because somebody else told them, and they've been saying it because it's crazy, man. It's really crazy.
In the real world, they end up seeking it in the online world. And unfortunately, a majority of the content online is not conducive to building healthy, well-rounded people. Dating is in a really tricky spot right now. There's so many factors and complexities that play a role into why it's become the toxic cesspool it is today, and the content online is only exacerbating the problem. There's so much more I want to talk about regarding this topic, but for now, the main takeaway is this: go outside and touch grass.
Facts.
Nah, I'm just playing.
No,
Partially.
I'm not playing.
But seriously, try not to be as chronically online as much. It's messing with your mental and skewing your perspective of the world. Instead, work on building more emotional and mental awareness so that you can discover what internal work needs to be done. And lastly, take what you see online with a grain of salt. Well, actually a whole gallon, because the online world isn't our reality, and we'll never be happy if we try to make it out to be. Alright, that's it for now. Take care, guys. See you.
Go outside and touch grass, nigga. Fuck. That's my thought. Go outside and touch grass.
To Morocco, I got pretty women showing titties like I'm Flacco. I came in a hard top, I'm still in the drop.